Thank you all for joining us for another QB Power Hour. We're going to be talking about going paperless and simplifying your workflow today. So thank you all for joining us during tax season. I know you guys are really busy this time of year. Briefly, we're going to talk about the QB Power Hour, the sponsors and the guest speakers. We'll cover the introductions, the CPE process, we'll let you know about some upcoming live events that you might want to attend. And then specifically in this webinar, we're going to be talking about working with attached documents in QuickBooks Online. We'll try to talk about some things that we haven't discussed previously, as well as I'm going to let you know about doing some of the request feature that's in QuickBooks Online Accountant, because I think a lot of you forget or aren't aware of that out there. Then we've got a great guest with us today from ShareFile. Fletcher's going to be talking about streamlining your workflow, really taking this paperless and document management to the next level using ShareFile and Right Signature. So just briefly about QB Power Hour, this is a webinar series that we generally do every couple of weeks. Sometimes we do it weekly though, when we have lots of great information to cover for you. However, with tax time, we do have a little bit different, we're going to skip a couple weeks because we know it's crunch time right before the April 15th deadline. But we've got a great one coming up on March 31st talking about building a better practice with Joe Woodard and Mark Wickersham. And then on April 21st, we're going to be talking about some advanced QuickBooks topics. We generally try to cover both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, and periodically we bring in third-party guests to talk about practice management or some other really informative and useful tools for you, like we have Citrix ShareFile today. The primary sponsors are Hector and I and our businesses, but we also bring in other vetted sponsors. We make sure to bring in only those topics that would be very useful and relevant to you all to help you manage your practice and grow your practice and working with your clients. We are not officially sponsored or associated with Intuit, although we do have a close working relationship with Intuit, and we do have them on as guest speakers from time to time. Okay, so just briefly, my name is Michelle Wong. I am a CPA and owner of Wong for Success. I've written numerous courses for Intuit, as well as co-authored 5 different books, if you want to go check those out. LinkedIn group with over 160,000 members is a great resource, as well as that Facebook group. When you've got additional questions after QB Power Hour, go into one of those groups, post your question, and you have a lot of opportunity to interact with Hector and I, as well as other peers that are listening to these webinars. Hector, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep. Yeah,
there you
Hi,
go.
everybody. My name is Hector Garcia. I work and live in Miami, Florida. I teach QuickBooks in my own classroom. There's my website there. I also have a regular tax practice, so it is real busy for us this time of the season as well, and I'm really glad to be here today.
Great. Thank you, Hector. And Fletcher, would you like to do a quick introduction of yourself?
Yes, I'd love to. Thanks for having me, Michelle. Hector, nice to meet you as well. Everybody that's joining the call, I'm the director of Citrix for Accountants, and I've been working with accounting and CPA firms for roughly 4.5 years, just trying to specialize in the needs and wants of standard accounting and how we can make your lives a little bit better.
Great. Thank you, Fletcher. Thank you for joining us today. We're really looking forward to what you have to offer. On the CPE process, if you need CPE, you must attend this live webinar. If you're listening to it on the recording on YouTube or something, I'm sorry, but you're not eligible for CPE. You must be logged in for at least 50 minutes to this webinar. We usually try to go a few minutes over to ask or answer additional questions, so if you want to stay on a little bit longer, that would be great. We will give you the CPE password sometime during this webinar. Then at the top of the hour, at the end of the webinar, you need to answer the poll question with the CPE keyword. However, today we are having some problems, so at the very end, at the end of the webinar, right before we get to the top of the hour, we'll ask you to type in that CPE keyword for today only.
No, Michelle, we have the polling questions fixed. So there will be a regular.
Oh, it is fixed?
Yes.
Okay, super, thank you. Okay, and then you should get those CPE certificates emailed to you. Give us about 3 weeks, especially now during tax time. You might allow Hector a little extra time to get that to you. Some upcoming live events. I would like to invite you to join me and Sandy Smith-Leva for the Ultimate Accounting VCon. This is an award-winning virtual conference over 2 days that you can attend from the convenience of your own home or your own office. So you save lots of money and time and travel, but you still get lots of great content and information to help you grow your practice. And we've got some special pricing if you sign up by Friday, but love to have you join us for that. Read the reviews from people who have attended in previous years. I think this is our 4th or 5th time doing this. Love to have you join us for that. Also, Hector and I both will be at Scaling New Heights in Atlantis, Bahamas. This is a great conference and a great location this year too, so love to have you join us there. And then QuickBooks Connect, this will be the 3rd time for it. It's a wonderful conference. Last year we had Oprah there. You can go to QuickBooksConnect.com and learn more about that as well. Hector, do you want to go ahead and talk about the attached documents in the desktop?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let me switch presenter to me and show my screen.
All right, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. All right, so a couple of things. This is a topic that we have covered before in a previous episode, but attaching documents is a really important piece of the accounting workflow for a couple of reasons. One, because a lot of companies have this really crazy file systems where they have all these vendors organized alphabetically, and then they take all these bills and invoices and then put them back in there, and then they spend countless of hours either organizing them, arguing about where the document should go, and going back and pulling them. So if you are in QuickBooks Desktop, using the attached documents features is really, really easy to use, but it is important to understand the mechanics of how it works. Okay, so a couple of things first. If you were going to attach, let's say, I'm going to pull up a check here. If I was going to just attach a document to a check, all I have to do is click on the attach file button on the top, and then it's going to ask me, okay, it has to be an actual check. So let me do here, we'll do Walmart, and let's say this is not a check, this is a debit card transaction. So I'll remove the check number, and let's say this is $56, and we'll make this office, let's say office equipment, and then we'll hit save. Okay, so now once the transaction is saved, it needs to be a saved transaction in order for you to be able to attach. I'm going to go ahead and click on that attach button up there, and then it's going to ask me, do you want to pull it from your computer somewhere? Do you want to pull it from your scanner? So if your scanner is compatible with the attachments function in QuickBooks, you can just run scanner and runs the scanner driver. I don't have one plugged in now, and you scan it and it scans straight into it. But if it's not compatible, you just scan into a folder in your computer, and then you browse it by clicking on that computer button. And also you can do the Doc Center, which I'll talk about the Doc Center in a second. Another big advantage to this tool, and I'm going to make this screen a little bit smaller just to kind of show you, make the screen a little bit smaller here, and then I'm going to click on attach, is that this is an area that I can drag and drop to. So if I have a file here on my desktop, let's say this file, let's say this is a JPEG or a PDF or an image or a picture, whatever, I can just click, drag and drop, and it adds it to the attachments. You can attach pretty much any type of file, Excel file, PDF, image, scanned images, that sort of things. You can also drag and drop. I don't have Outlook installed here, but you can also drag and drop an email from Outlook and drag it into there. That way, if a client approved something via an email or something, and that's going to be your proof, you don't have to print the email and scan it or anything crazy like that. You can just drag and drop that email if you're using Outlook. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and then I'm going to show you something else. So up here, there's a little sign here that says 1 that basically tells you that there's an attachment next to it. Okay. If, for example, I don't have a transaction yet in QuickBooks, I don't have a transaction to attach it to, but let's say I do have a couple of receipts. I'm going to show you. Let's say I have these 3 receipts that are here in my desktop. I have these 3 receipts that I want to upload into QuickBooks, but I don't know where to house them yet. I don't know what to attach them to yet. So what I can do is I can go into Company and go to Documents and Doc Center. I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to go to Documents, Doc Center, and then let me just go ahead and delete everything that's in there now. That way we're just kind of seeing a blank screen here. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and delete those documents. I can actually drag and drop anything from any folder in my computer, copy them in there, and then they go into what QuickBooks calls the inbox. Okay. Now all of these, we can go into view details. We can actually type names and descriptions in there if we want to be able to search these in different ways. So we can call this Walmart or something like that, and then hit save and close. And then all these things, anything that we put in here in the view details, it's searchable, right? So that's an important piece of doing that. So if I type here Walmart like this, well, let me see, this is called receipt. Let's say grocery. I search it. I'm not sure why it's not finding, but it does work. Maybe it's because it's not saved fully. But so any of these things are going to be searchable. In it, I can open the document straight from here. But what's important about having them in this area here, this is called the inbox, is that if you are religiously uploading attachments into QuickBooks, right? Whether you have a transaction or not. And then let's say the transaction shows up later on. Let's say, let me just pull a transaction here. Let's say this happens to be the transaction that I want to attach something to. I don't have to go find the document in my computer anymore. I just click on attach, and then I'm going to click here where it says Doc Center. And then basically all the transactions that are here on the Doc Center, I don't know why the keywords are not showing, but I should be able to search like this, maybe because I didn't put it on the keyword section, or I haven't done the update. Oh, there it is. I would have to do an update, so it does take about an hour for that update to cycle through. But you can actually search through them or just find them, right? So if I wanted to just preview it real quick, I can actually click on Open Local Document and say, yep, this is the receipt that I want to attach. I'll put a check mark on that. I can click on View Details and add any keywords like whatever I want to put here. And then, like I said, if you give it about an hour, it goes into the searching mechanism. So I'm going to select the document or documents that I want to attach. Okay, I'm going to click on Attach here. So now these documents are moved from the Document Center, and they're now inside of my specific transaction. I'm going to go ahead and hit Save and Close. Yes.
Okay, so we have a couple questions
Sure.
about where the documents are stored,
Yeah.
and like if you have an accountant's copy, will the attachments be there in the accountant's copy?
Good question.
So they're asking about some of that stuff.
Excellent question. So basically, the QuickBooks database and the attachments database are two completely separate things. QuickBooks database is a QBW file, and it's a standalone file, and then there's going to be a folder on the same place where the QuickBooks file is, where all the attachments are. So I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to hit Control-1 just so I can get the path of where in my computer the QuickBooks file is. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the path, but I'm going to omit the portion that's the company file name. So I'm doing it all the way up to the last folder. This is right here under the location side. I'm doing it all the way on the last slash of the folder. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then I'm going to go into my Explorer, and then up here in the path box up here, I'm just going to paste that and press enter, and that's going to take me straight into the folder where QuickBooks is. Another way of doing this is clicking on the Start menu, and here where it says Search, I can also paste that and press enter, and that should take me to the folder where the QuickBooks file is. So I'm working on a sample file now, so the QuickBooks file is here, and you're going to see a folder called Attach. Okay, so when I double click on Attach, there's going to be several folders inside the Attach folder for every QuickBooks file. So let's say that's the QuickBooks file I'm working on, so I'll double click on that, and then I'm going to have the Inbox folder. That's going to be the one transaction that's left from the 3 that we uploaded that were not attached. And then I'm going to have the transaction folder, and then I'm going to have these weird codes. These are just internal codes on how QuickBooks knows what these transactions are. So I'm going to double click on these, and I can see what attachments are. For example, in this particular transaction, the 2 attachments here and the transactions are intact. Okay, so the attachment, the file name is going to be preserved when I upload the document. So if you want to be able to search these through regular windows, right? So if I wanted to search into regular windows, I would have to know the file name, right? So this one's called grocery receipts, and then when I go to it, it'll find it for me. So you are going to have to count on the original file name to be able to search them outside of QuickBooks. But to search them inside of QuickBooks, we can use that little search box. So the second part of that question, Michelle, was when I create a portable file or an accountant's copy or a backup, do the attachments come with it? The answer is no. The attachments are only going to be in that folder that says attached. So if you wanted to do a true backup of your QuickBooks file, I would take this attached folder and maybe move, drag and drop that into your external hard drive, or you can right click and make it into a zip file, right? Depending on what software you have in Windows, you can make it into a zip file, and then or set up your backup software to also look into that particular folder for backups. Because that's one area that people make a mistake in, is they assume that a regular QuickBooks backup also backs up the attachments, and it does not.
Great, Hector. Thank you. All right. So, and for everybody that's listening, we also covered this last year, because I know there were some more questions about this. Last year in the archives, if you look, we've got another one where we talked about some other details as well. So thank you, Hector. If you want to go ahead and try to answer a few more of the questions that I couldn't get to,
yeah, I'll do that.
I'll take it back, and then I will show you guys about QuickBooks Online and how it works in QuickBooks Online, because they are very similar, but there are a few differences. So just like in QuickBooks Desktop, you can attach documents to transactions, but one of the things that is different is with QuickBooks Online, you can actually, like with your phone, with the QBO mobile app, you could take a picture of that receipt and enter the expense or whatever it was, and that attachment will come in from the phone as well. So that makes it really easy. And something new that they've done in QuickBooks Online is the ability to attach documents in the downloaded transactions area. So let me just go in here and show you a few things in QBO that's a little different, and then I want to specifically talk about the request. So just like in QuickBooks Desktop, you can attach any document, and this doesn't have to just be a receipt. It could be an image, it could be an Excel file, it could be a Word document, or whatever. You can attach those, just like Hector said, on any transaction. So down here in the bottom left corner, you'll see where you can drag and drop files or go in there and just select a file to upload that. So you can attach them to the transactions, just like in the desktop. And then up here, you have your list of attachments. See over here where it says attachments? You would have a list of all those attachments, and I don't have any here. Let me go ahead and select a couple of these. Let's just pick, these aren't really receipts or anything, but you'll see we have all these lists of attachments here, and then we could take these and attach them to different transactions. We would have a list of all the ones that are attached and linked right here. See where it says linked transactions? And you could select these and you can do a batch, export them if you want to. So if you wanted to export all the attachments to a separate folder, you could do that. The documents are stored in the cloud when you're using QuickBooks Online. I know that question came up in QuickBooks Desktop, is where were they? So this is really handy. Again, you can attach things to these transactions. Just let's go ahead and attach one down here. Let's just pick one of those, save and close, and it's still uploading. So it's still trying to, but you can see there we've got it now. Nope, it still hasn't uploaded. It's working on it. So anyway, you get the idea. That is very similar with QuickBooks Desktop. The difference is it is stored in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about it's not backed up when you back up the file, or if you want to move it or anything like that. It is stored in the cloud. Now, what is really cool that's not available in QuickBooks Desktop, and I wanted to share a few minutes explaining this to you, is the ability to do document requests. Let's say, maybe your client's doing a good job of sending you receipts for transactions and things like that, but what about when you need the bank statement? Maybe you need a signed engagement letter. Maybe they purchased a truck and you want the agreement where they purchased that truck. We've got the ability to go in and do document requests on clients. So I'm going to go into Larry's Landscaping here, and I'm in QBOA, QuickBooks Online Accountant, and you'll see over here on the home screen, over here where it says Requests, we've got one open, and here we've got one of 3 documents. Let's go ahead and go into this one instead, since we've already got some things out there. And let me show you the document request feature, because this is really cool. Let me zoom it back out so you guys can see more. Oops, I didn't actually want to go into the client. I wanted to go into the document request. I am not with it today. These whole technical problems knock me off. Over here, I wanted to go into this document request area because I wanted to show you some of this and how it works. So in the request area, this is where you can send requests to people and they can upload those documents. So let's say I need to request some things from them. Up in the upper right where it says new request, I can send a request to my client or any user that's set up on this client. So for example, in here, we've got all of these different users that I could choose from. I'm just going to go ahead and choose Jessica, and I could say need statements or whatever it is you want to know. Please send below or whatever. Please send as noted. And then I could even attach a file if I wanted to, but what do I need? Bank statement for March, maybe credit card statement, signed engagement letter. Whatever it is you need, and you can see over here, this is a preview of that email that you're going to send to them. So your client will get an email. Now, I'm not actually going to do this because I did it to her the other day. I sent some stuff to Jessica, and oh, I forgot to show you, you can assign a due date to that as well. And then they can upload that document here. So notice she sent back a bank statement and an engagement letter. In this document request, the document 1 and 2, we don't have back yet. So you can see by the green arrow the ones that you've received. Now these documents, so your client gets an email, and then there's a big blue button that says upload here. So the client can upload those documents, and then right here where it says documents, you will have all of these documents here. So with Jessica Snow, these are the documents that she's uploaded, and she just uploaded a headshot there. Looks like that was Katie that did it. But you can see we've got that document there, and everybody on our team who has access to this client will have access to those documents. So we've got 14 employees or team members that have access to this. All of your team would have access to that. So when your client uploads the bank statement, whoever's working on that client would have access to those documents. So this is a great feature because it allows you to keep it all within QuickBooks Online. You don't have things out in your email requesting things from your clients, and then you have to copy it into another folder. Then you have to share it with your team members, and it helps by having it all in one central location. However, I can't attach things from here. If I've got this attachment, I can't attach this to a transaction or to a customer's name or anything like that. They're just sitting out there, and there's Katie Peterson. Hi, Katie. So you can see the document that was uploaded, but you can't attach it to anything in QuickBooks Online. So there are some limitations there with that. So I see some questions about how do you get it to that request page. So I'm going to go back to my accountant's homepage. And there's different ways that you can get in there to that request page. So in QBOA, you'll see over here, and somebody says, how do you track your request? Over here, it's tracking those emails that you've sent requesting documents. So you'll see once you send an email and request things, you're going to see it listed right over here that you have an open request. I've got 1 of 3 documents received. These don't have any requests. I haven't emailed them anything. So this dashboard is keeping track of it here. Okay, so it's going to be right here. If you want to do a new request, I could do it right from here. Or if you click on beautiful landscapes or the client name over here, you click on the client name, you've got the bookkeeping tab, the payroll tab, here's your request tab. Again, I can come up in the upper right, send a new request from there. I can also click up here and click on the plus and do a new request. And then once the documents come in, they will be on this Documents tab shared with everybody on your team that have access to that. So again, it is a great way to have it all in one central location, especially during tax time, because you can put clients on here that aren't just QuickBooks Online clients. So you can have some of your tax-only clients listed here. You just wouldn't see the QuickBooks icon here if they're not a QuickBooks Online client. You still can have those clients here. You still can send these requests out to your clients for getting that information. So I think this is a great feature, but like I mentioned, there are some limitations to it, being that from here, you can't attach those to the transactions in QuickBooks Online. Now, some of the limitations in QuickBooks Online is in my Customer Center, I can't attach documents to a customer name. I can't attach documents to the chart of accounts. You can do that in QuickBooks Desktop. So there's pros and cons in Desktop and QuickBooks Online, but both of them are really kind of somewhat limited in our functionality and is streamlined as we would like it to be. So we've now got, let me go ahead and come down here. So I kind of went over this on how that works so you guys can look at that. Let's go ahead and do the CPE keyword, and then I'll talk about a couple of other things. So the CPE keyword is sharks. Swim with the sharks. If you join us for Accounting VCon, we've got some sharks coming in from Shark Tank. We have several people who were one of the sharks, or they were pitching to the sharks. So we've got several Shark Tank people who showed up on the show and they pitched their ideas, these small business owners. We've got several of them that are going to be our guest speakers at the Accounting VCon coming up in May. So join me and swim with the sharks, and let's learn more about their experiences. So write down sharks, and that will be the CPE keyword that we'll ask you to answer at the end of this webinar. So again, sharks. And if you want to know more about the Accounting VCon, just go to accountingvcon.com. I'd love to have you join me for that. So now let's talk a little bit more about, why it's so important for us to be able to manage these documents and maintain these things, and how do we really take it to the next level? Because we got the basic document management in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, but it's also somewhat limited.
Michelle,
so where do we get?
Can I answer a couple of questions that are pending here? I can't believe we have so many questions on attachments. You mind if I do it 2 minutes? Couple things?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so some people are saying, if I go from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, do the attachments come in through the conversion? The answer is no. The attachments in QuickBooks Desktop will not convert in a QBO conversion. The other question is the reverse. If I'm working on QuickBooks Online and my company goes out of business, I no longer want to pay a QuickBooks Online subscription, and I need to have access to those attachments. Can I download them all in a batch or convert it from QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Desktop? The answer is also no. The QuickBooks Online attachments and the QuickBooks Desktop attachments do not talk to each other and do not have a way of transferring back and forth. I think that's probably the only one I'll answer, but I think that was an important one to answer.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And so I did see another question there too. Where would my client see it? Your client, so on the attachments to transactions, you're in QuickBooks Online. In the attachments to transactions, your client are going to be able to see it there just the same as you are. On those document requests, they will create a little portal where they can log in and see it as well. But what's even better than that is when you look at, your client, like you just said, your client wants to have access to this. And this is where, when we're talking about moving our firm up into a really successful firm, this is the accounting technology hierarchy pyramid. How do we move to the top of this pyramid to be a real firm of the future? And part of it deals with some of these things at the upper part of this pyramid here. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to be able to have this communication with our clients. Our clients do want this available to them 24/7, and they want to be able to log in to download things that they might need, whether it's attachments to transactions, whether it's the statements that they've sent you, or maybe they want to log in and get their W-2 or whatever it is, making client data available 24/7 so they don't have to call you to get it. That's one of the things we really want to think about. That's the full workflow, because with attached documents, that's just like getting started. We need to now take it to the next level. And so this is where we want to think about, in addition to what's available in QuickBooks as it is, how do we achieve that next level to help us grow from the bottom of this pyramid, which are just the basic necessities for a firm? These are just the things that you have to be an accounting or bookkeeping firm these days. But if you really want to take your firm to the next level and really be a successful firm of the future, we have to keep changing and adapting as technology changes. And this helps us to serve our clients better, to provide the support to them they need, and ultimately to grow. So the basics are what's available in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, but where we can really be a game changer is with some things like ShareFile. It really helps take it to the next level, and that's why we've invited Fletcher and Citrix ShareFile to join us today to help you to learn more about that aspect and taking that to the next level. So Fletcher, could you go ahead and take over for a little bit and show us how that can help us streamline our workflow and improve our practice?
You bet. I'm going to make myself presenter here.
Thank you.
And just want to confirm that everybody's able to see my screen now.
We can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Yeah, a lot of you all might be familiar with the name ShareFile, or at least Citrix. We're popular for the tools like GoToMeeting, GoToMyPC, GoToWebinar that we're on here today. We're going to be representing 3 core products that we had developed specifically for the accounting industry here. The first one is going to be ShareFile, which is kind of like the flagpole or the tent pole of this accounting bundle. ShareFile is used by over 17,000 accounting firms all across North America, predominantly in Canada and the U.S. that is used for an enterprise class file sharing service, but built for small businesses. Out of the 17,000 firms that use us, we have a lot of big names under our belt, but 87% of our customers are 1 to 5 person shops. So we wanted to be able to create something that was easy, customizable, and affordable, so that way you all can be able to work more efficiently with your clients with the added security that we need in this day and age. The second tool that we're going to cover here today is a tool called Right Signature. That tool is an IRS compliant and legally binding way for you all to get your documents signed and forms filled out and returned back to you very quickly. For an $88.79 to file a tax return, you can get those things signed and delivered back to you virtually instantly. Engagement letters, so you can start work with your clients faster and limit risk of possibly losing to another competitor in town. Or even just basic forms like payroll information, W-4s, I-9s, all that work that time that takes to go into filling those documents out can be automated and done electronically with the proper security. And then the final part is going to be a tool called Share Connect, which is going to help with client support. For those of you all that are using QuickBooks Desktop, we are going to be highlighting a tool that allows you to jump onto those screens and work on those that application or that software without you guys having to waste travel time. Yeah, I'm getting the feedback. Yeah, the login screen is supposed to just appear here. I was just doing a quick introduction, but we'll jump right in here and start showing off ShareFile a little bit. So every account that signs up with ShareFile gets a dedicated domain. This is really what separates us from like Dropbox, Box.com, and things like that. It's just your company name.sharefile.com. This is going to be a custom branded login screen that you can share with staff and colleagues as well as with clients, so you guys can collaborate and access the same files when you need to. This login screen is going to be for an access point, but I want to kind of highlight a current customer of ours and how they have us tied into their website. We do full custom integrations with your tax program, with your web presence. So if you want clients to be able to log in from a home page, we do all that stuff for you, customized for free. If you don't have a website, that's okay. I don't have one either. So we just go to ShareFile and we log in here. You'll notice that the custom branding is going to be a common theme as we move through these separate products. This is a professional, you guys are professional services. This is a professional service. So we are not in the business of marketing ourselves. We make sure that your brand is the thing the clients see. And if anything, it looks like something you might have customized or designed yourself. So ShareFile on most platforms comes with unlimited storage. So if anybody's out there, feel like that they need a cloud backup, or if they want to be able to have, all their files secured and accessible in case a device or machine goes down, or if you work remotely, if you're constantly on the road visiting clients, ShareFile's first step would be to actually use My Files and Folders here on the left as your own private file repository and storage. This whole platform and folder setup is based on standard Windows functionality, where you have a root folder, then you have subfolders, and so forth. So you guys can be able to set this up and have access to any file that you want at any time. The cool thing about this too is that with unlimited storage, this can actually act like a file server with your office. So if anybody is a small business, they have a couple staff members that they have trouble or that they communicate with, but they don't have a way to get documents from one desktop or workstation to the next, emailing just is tedious, it takes time. So this will actually allow you and your staff members to work and access the same files, but as the business owner, you are able to control which files and folders that have access. So, for me, I've got a team of about 30 folks that work for us, and I share certain files and folders here with them so they can have marketing information and collateral. Be the same kind of concept for you guys. The shared folders location is going to be acting as a client portal for your staff. These folders that are set up for clients are actually specifically reserved for them. So as an accountant and my staff, I could be able to navigate through all of my clients, but, Oprah and Michael and Rory McIlroy, great clients to have, but, they're only getting private access to their folders. So when Oprah logs in with her email address, she has no idea that Michael or Paul or Rory even exist. There's no chance of her actually looking and seeing that information. She can just jump right in there and be able to grab any type of documents that you have set up. So one of the biggest differentiators between us and the other tools that are out there is the granularity of the control that you have. So actually being able to block people out of certain subfolders and control access rights there. So as you can see, I've got a list of folders that are set up for my clients to be able to access or upload files to, but I've got information in here I'm not ready to share with the client. So even though that it's within Oprah's folder, she's not actually viewing this folder, not for client view. She has no ability to access that particular location. Quickly, we are able to kind of sync this up with a lot of your popular software by giving you a tool called ShareFile Sync, as well as a drive mapping. The question was posed earlier is, can this connect to my desktop? How do I get files in here? ShareFile Sync is a location that will keep a version of that file on your local workstation. So it's very easy to come in here and access files, open them, and work on them instantly. And this is a real-time backup. So anytime a file is edited locally, that change is fetched and synced back into ShareFile, distributed to any person that has access to the particular folder, but it's done in real time. It limits any type of data loss or any type of scheduled backups where there's a lot of data that needs to be moving back and forth. These are done doing small changes at once, and the documents are left with a real-time status, which is what that green check mark means here. If there's a document that's being edited or worked on, the status will change and you'll know who is actually working on those particular files. For those of you that are interested in just pure cloud storage, that's what the ShareFile S drive is down here for me. This is just a map drive, so technically all my data is stored in the cloud. I'm not eating any of my local disk space here, but I have access to the same files and folders through this map drive. This is more advanced technology. Some people that are techie out there might know it as WebDAV. We don't need to have those types of setups. This is much more stable, it's faster, and it allows you to basically do the exact same thing of having a virtual drive on your machine. So working within the client portal, there's a couple things I'd like to highlight here. Anytime that you want to get a document from a client, you actually have the ability to request those files into a specific folder. This is great for anybody that might be doing audits, requesting tax information or receipts. You can be within a particular folder and you can request information strictly into that location. One of your file options, being request with ShareFile, will allow you to actually email this directly to the client with a private link to their folder. Anything that's uploaded to that folder or through that link will actually be stored in the folder that you chose. So you don't have to reorganize data. Everything is going to be dropped in the, where you wanted it to in the first time. And it keeps it really simple for the clients. They won't actually have to log into ShareFile to upload files. It's a direct link that is just a one-way street for them to drop the information off. I know this is going to be one of the most popular features of ShareFile. It's actually the ability to...
Fletcher?
Yeah.
A real quick question for you. You showed how to send that request from that folder there, but are you also going to show them how you can do it directly from within Outlook?
That was exactly what I was segueing to.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. So this Outlook, we actually integrate with Outlook, and we also have some cool tools that work with like Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, some local providers as well. But Outlook being the most popular email client used, I'd like to highlight some of these integrations. We have an Outlook plugin, a small program that installs itself on the Outlook that gives you several options of being able to send direct encrypted messages as well as file attachments to clients, and even giving them the ability to reply to upload files back. This is great too when you have a client base that might be a little less tech savvy. There's no username and passwords required here, so if you don't feel like that your clients would be comfortable with that, or if it's a little bit more work than you want to do for some temporary file transactions like with banks and mortgage lenders, you can do it right through email. This whole part of the email is going to be encrypted, so if you need to request information like what's your social security number or give me your credit card information to process an invoice, you can be able to type out the information to request, and any reply will also be encrypted. This works on all versions of Outlook from 2007 and above. We will support any version of Outlook that Microsoft still supports. For file attachments, you can attach any type of file and any size file, which is great. So you can email up to 10 gigabytes here. It's great for QuickBooks data backups. Anybody that could be using like CDs or thumb drives or manually going to pick the information up, this will allow you to send it via email instantly. The only step that you have to take is actually to come over here and hit encryption on with your email, and that takes care of all the security for you. The data and the files are stripped from the email. They're going through a private server hosted by Citrix using a 256-bit TLS 8ES encryption. It's higher than what online banks are actually required to use right now, so you get state-of-the-art security on anything that you're sending. And then because the files are going to be converted over to secure and encrypted randomized links, you can just send the message on directly to the client. Now we'll go on the client side of this and we'll give you an example of what their experience will be like. I send over to a Gmail account, something web-based, a separate and opposite from Outlook. And what the clients will receive is an email that looks just like this. It's an email that still comes from you. Your email server is what's delivering this, not us. So it's not a notification email. This will ensure that your clients are getting the emails in the proper inbox and that they're, trust it and open it. When the clients are ready to view that encrypted message, the green button front and center is all they'll have to click on to be able to open and decrypt that message right within the web browser. You'll notice that this email is also custom branded for your business. Any type of privacy statements or email signatures that you have here will still be intact, and then your file attachments will be listed right down here at the bottom. Files can be downloaded by just clicking on the green download button if you're downloading multiple attachments, or you can just click on the tile itself. And then the reply feature is built in within that email. So the clients don't need to download anything or have to have Outlook, sign up for our service. They can just reply back through that same private tunnel. So requesting a number, attaching a file is done just like regular email. All the client will have to do is hit send here, and it'll be returned back into your main inbox like a traditional email. With the Outlook plugin installed on Outlook, everything is actually decrypted within the application itself. So there's no extra steps that you'll have to take once it comes back in. I would like to highlight some mobile apps that we have built into ShareFile as well. These are really great because this allows you to access your files, secure email from your own iOS or Android device, but we do work on anything that has a touch screen. And this is cool because your clients have access to the same apps. So if a client goes to Lowe's, buys a new hammer, and they want to send that receipt to you, they can literally just whip out their phone, take a picture of that. It'll scan the document into a ShareFile folder strictly for that client. They don't need to be near a fax machine or a scanner. It can be done to you instantly. We'll move on to the right signature tool here. We will be doing private demonstrations for people after this if anybody's interested, but for time purposes, I would like to highlight the signature integration. So within Oprah's folder.
Fletcher, for you there, could you answer a couple questions on ShareFile?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so somebody's asking about integration with QuickBooks Online. You did not allude anything about integrating with QuickBooks Online. Is there one? Is there a roadmap to do so?
A good question, actually. We've partnered with a third-party integrator that integrates with over 600 SaaS-based applications. It's called Zapier. They call the integration Zaps, but this company allows our customers to be able to create custom integrations with QuickBooks Online. Some popular options are like if you create a new vendor in QuickBooks, it'll create a new folder within ShareFile and automatically add your client to it. If you have a database where you're keeping client contacts within QuickBooks, that stuff will be synced over to ShareFile. There's a lot of custom integrations that we can do. I would like to, if anybody's interested in that, we'd be happy to kind of walk them through how that whole process works.
Okay, all right, we'll get your contact information. So somebody else is asking, you demonstrated how to send document requests through ShareFile and also through Outlook. And then somebody's asking, what if I have Gmail? So I think that maybe there's a confusion about, if you don't have Outlook, you still can make document requests. We just don't have a special attachment, a special plugin for Gmail or anything like that. There's no need for that, correct?
Well, actually, we do integrate with Gmail. So Gmail, if you have your own private domain with Gmail, it's kind of set up like similar to a POP server, and you can be able to connect that within Outlook or within ShareFile. So the integration there would allow you to see anything file or message sent from ShareFile appears in your sent messages, any in your outbox, any replies, of course, come back into Gmail. But you can also, there's a feature called a print driver that we have. This is real quickly how you can actually integrate, with ShareFile to QuickBooks Desktop, to your tax program, as well as quickly email from any program by just printing the document to a ShareFile location. So what that looks like is a simple print driver, just like you would have a physical printer that creates paper and ink. If I choose Citrix Print to ShareFile here and run the printer queue, it skips a few steps of making me log into the web browser and accessing, a specific, location or send. I can either upload it directly into a folder, like this document is going to be assigned to Oprah. I can click on upload and it'll automatically send that document from the program that I'm working out of and drop it into a folder, and then a notification would automatically be sent to a client letting them know that they've got a new file that's waiting for them. If you want to send that via directly encrypted email, you can hit share here and hit encrypted email. Now the integration is going to pull all of your Gmail contacts into this drop-down box. So you have, your quick contact list, and then, but it's a regular email from here, test emails, message, whatever. And then if you need to attach other files in here, you can just pull them right onto that and click share. It'll generate the email from Gmail, send it off to the client with a direct link to access those files.
Oh, that's great. So you're saying that I can send tax returns without having to password protect them just by using the print driver and putting the client's email address. The client will get a tax return, all encrypted, no need to do password protection.
Yeah, and like password protection, we don't, not many people recommend it anymore because PDFs can be broken into so quickly. There's a, the password is really the only security. The file itself isn't encrypted, so this is actually providing you with more security as well, while making it easier for the clients.
Okay, and Michelle had a question, I think.
Yeah, and Fletcher, and so you said this earlier, but I just wanted to reemphasize it. And so let's say you've requested the client sign the 8879 and send it back to you. If you send them that encrypted, they can reply, and it's also encrypted when they reply, right? So it protects them returning documents to you.
100% yes. 95 or 97% of an average small business owner does not have a secure way to communicate with their clients unless they're forced to use like a client portal, but that's not the best fit for everybody. Sometimes email is just easier. So any client can reply to any email that you've sent them and reply with a message or a secure document they need to deliver to you.
Wonderful. And then they can log in later, like if they wanted to log in to download something again, this is all stored in a folder where they can, like let's say 3 months from now, they want to go back and get the tax return that you emailed them before securely, but they can then log into their old folder to access that 24/7. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to kind of highlight the client experience when they log in. So if I log in as Oprah, as an example, I'm going to have access to just my private folder. It's not too many, things to click on. I just click on my folder, and then I've got access to my tax returns. I can come in here and I can, download these anytime that I need them. And this is a pretty cool feature too, because we're talking about email security. Clients not having the ability to do that. If I needed to send these tax returns to my bank, I can actually do that myself. I don't have to ask my accountant to do it. I can just come into the web application, highlight the documents I need to send, and hit email with ShareFile. This allows me to just choose the particular documents they're requesting and email that directly to my bank. The bank will just be able to download those files, and then we can have them auto self-destruct after 1 or 2 downloads or after a week or something like that.
Very cool. I did not know that one. That's very cool.
Yeah, and anybody that there's always that legal paperwork, like for releasing of the personal identifying information. This gets around all that. The client is the one that's sending them themselves, so there's less paperwork to sign. There's less phone calls that the accountant's going to receive, and a lot of times clients would rather be empowered to do it themselves, so that way they can move quickly. With the housing market bouncing back, you got to get approval fast, and if you don't want to be the reason why your client lost out on their dream home because they couldn't get their tax returns fast enough.
Very good. And can multiple, like let's say you've got a client, this Oprah, but let's say there's 2 or 3 partners or 2 or 3 people. Can multiple people within that client have access to this?
You bet. At the bottom of every folder on the accountant side, you'll see exactly who these folders are shared with and what permissions that they have. ShareFile offers unlimited clients, so if you have like a 3-partner group and you want to add all of those people in there, you can. There's no limit to how many people are able to have access to a folder.
Great, thank you. Okay, now you were going to show us about right signature because that's awesome too.
Yeah, this thing's really slick. There's two documents in it I have within our signed documents folder, and I want to highlight both of them. So you got the 8879 down here on the bottom. I also have a signed version up here at the top. We're going to come back to the signed version here in just a moment. So this 8879 is pre-prepared by my tax software, but I need to get my client to sign it. I can right-click on that file, come down here and hit Get Signature. That's going to do, it's going to load it up into the Right Signature software as an attachment, so I can be able to get it signed. You don't have to use the integration though. You can actually just do it from Right Signature's own web application. There are some advantages here, like being able to store templates or package documents together. So those of you all that have to file a state return and get the state form signed, you can package the return, the state and federal forms all together. So when we grab an 8879 here as an attachment, it's going to load it up for me. Now, all I need to do is assign the roles to my signers. So, we'll use my Gmail address again as a taxpayer. If I need to add multiple people to this document to sign, though, I can. We don't charge per signature. It's a big differentiator for us. You can get as many people to sign a document as you'd like. And this is great for when you have a joint return. So, if I'm in North Carolina out of our home office and Megan is visiting Michelle in Kansas City, and you send us a document to sign, we don't have to be in the same room. She'll be able to sign it from a hotel. I can sign it from my desk here, and it'll come back to the accountant as a completed document with both signatures on it. On the right side here is where we can set up KBA. This is only required on the 8879, but we allow you to determine the question and answer for that to create that extra layer of security. So, like, what's your zip code is always a popular one. Everybody should know that one. You just put the answer in, and the client will be asked to answer that question correctly too. Once we click on Next Step, it's going to allow us to see our file one time. So that way we can make sure that our clients are signing in the right location and the permissions are set up properly, so there's no option of user error. On the right side here, you're going to see that I've sent this document before, and it creates a template for me. So when I want to get this document set up, I can just click on this thing one time, and it sets up the roles and the requirements for the client. So I need a check here, I need a signature here, and a date here. This red flag means it's a requirement, and these boxes limit the client from signing anywhere else. So there's no chance of them signing for the taxpayer on accident, or the tax preparer, I should say, on accident. Once we hit send for signature, that delivers the document out, and that'll go straight to the client via email. The email or the signing services are available from a web browser or from a desktop as well as mobile devices. When the clients get an email from you, it'll be custom branded with a big green button in the center of the screen asking the client to review and sign the document. By clicking here, the client will be able to open it up and enter in their KBA. Once the KBA is accepted, then the client is viewing their document instantly on their cell phone, their iPad, or their web browser here, and they can go ahead and start filling out the document. It's point and click for 90% of this. Once we get to the signing part, the client will be able to use their name to spell and type, and then we give them 6 fonts to choose from to place their signature on the document. If they're going to be doing this from a touch screen, they can use a stylus or their finger as a pen. A lot of us have experienced this with a lot of the new POS systems. You just draw your name, document signed instantly, and then the client will be able to submit that back to you by just clicking on this green checkbox in the bottom right corner. The client doesn't have to do anything else. They don't need to upload it back to ShareFile. They don't need to attach it to an email or anything like that. By just hitting submit, it finalizes the document. It's going to distribute it to all parties involved via email, so everybody's instantly getting their own copy. And then it'll be synced back into your ShareFile account. The ShareFile fetches the signed document and stores it in the same folder that it was originally sent from as a signed version. And then the final copy, just so you know too, it does come with a signature certificate. So this proves the legality of the document and the compliance with the IRS, showing that you sent it, client signed it, time and date stamps, even the IP address is used to sign everything.
Fletcher, that is so amazing. It is really cool, and it makes it so super easy for our clients. And I would love to have you stick around for a few more minutes, but we do need to do the CPE keyword. Hector, do we have a poll to launch? Hector, you're muted. There you go. Thank you. So answer the CPE keyword, answer this poll question, and that way you guys can get your CPE. Those of you that can hang around, we'll finish up with Fletcher as well as have another 5-10 minutes of Q&A because I agree this is amazing. Meredith just typed in here, I'm very impressed and discovering new features that she literally just signed up and she's so happy she did. But yes, she's saying everyone in our industry should get the bundle. Happy, happy. Yes, Meredith, and that's where I talked about taking your practice to the next level. You know, we talked about the basics that you can do in QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online, but those are really kind of limited. And that's where ShareFile and Right Signature both really help you take your practice to that next level. And look how super easy it made it for your clients. Right? They don't even have to print out the 8879 and figure out how to copy it or scan it or get it back to you. They can just do it all right there from that right signature. So I think it is amazing. And we've got more questions. And Michelle said definitely going to implement this, very impressed. So hold on, those of you that are interested, hold on, answer the CPE question, and then Fletcher will give you some special offers and his contact information, and then hang around for another 5-10 minutes answering some more questions. So answer the CPE poll question. We give you about another 30 seconds. If you need CPE, answer this poll question now so that you can get your CPE credit. And then we'll be ending that poll, and Fletcher's got a special offer for you. So last call.
While they finish the polling question, Michelle, let me ask Fletcher a question. Somebody's asking whether Right Signature and ShareFile are required to work with each other or if they can be purchased independently.
They can be purchased independently. From a cost standpoint, we do offer bundling discounts, but they are separate products.
Okay, perfect. And somebody else is asking that we assume that Citrix has done all the homework with IRS to make sure that the signatures are valid and all that stuff. What about for Canada?
Yes. So under the PIPEDA law, or PIPEDA, I always hear it spelled differently or said differently, we are 100% compliant, but the CRA has not taken a formal stance on whether or not they would accept electronic signatures. We do have clients that use it for the e-file consent form in Canada, and we've not heard anything back, but I cannot give a formal stance on where Citrix stands on that because the CRA has not responded to our request on whether or not it's 100% compliant. In the IRS, we are good, but the CRA has not made their own stance yet. But anything else outside of like a CRA type form, you're good with. So like an engagement letter, a contract, retainer agreement, anything like that, you're all set with in Canada.
Perfect.
Very good. Now, Fletcher, can you share your contact information? Some people mentioned Quick Connect, which is amazing. That's your Quick Connect for remote access. That's amazing as well. And if you contact Fletcher, they can set you up to learn more about that, as well as Fletcher had a special offer for you all. So could you share that with those that have to leave, and then we'll do some more questions?
Yeah, so the slide that I have up here, people call me crazy, but I always give out my direct line and my email address. If anybody's interested in this, you can reach out to me directly. You'll actually get to have a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with me, and I'll be happy to learn about your business and show you how ShareFile can fit in there. We are offering up to 50% off for those webinar attendees. That it does include ShareFile as well as the bundle. Then this will be available on the recording as well if anybody has to jump off. So please feel free to reach out to me directly. We can definitely schedule something before or after the April 15th deadline so you guys can have a chance to see how it can be customized for your business.
Very good. Okay, so Fletcher, let's answer a few more questions. Somebody said, what is the bundle? I have ShareFile Personal. How do I use the ShareFile Drive? I downloaded the Sync, but not sure how to use it.
So there is several features that are involved on several different plans. So we have pricing that starts with, at around $20 a month, and then it scales up from there. Most accountants are on a team or business version of ShareFile so they can get all these integrations and the features that we have created. If anybody's interested in reviewing their plan, we can kind of look at it a little bit deeper so you can see what is available for you. But the drive mapping is not available on the personal plans. That's probably why you're not seeing that.
And along with that, somebody said something about the Woodard. They're not getting all the features if they're going through the Woodard group, right? You want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that's also correct. So the relationship that we have with Woodard is that you get a free account under the Woodard domain, which means that if you need to send a file or access a folder or something like that under the Woodard domain, then you can. But the private labeled versions of ShareFile gives you access to all the features, including the email tools, custom branding it for your particular business, the integrations with your software, and things like that.
Yeah, and I will say, I used the free account via Sleater for a long time, so that's part of the reason why I wasn't aware of all these other features and all these other capabilities that were out there, was because I had that account through Sleater, which didn't include all of these other things. So just to share that. Okay, so somebody else wants to know about the CRA. You mentioned some of that already. Somebody else said that she sent these all the time, and the CRA has allowed it every time. So somebody is using it with the CRA, and they are accepting it. So that might be something you want to check out and think about. Hector, did you have any other questions? I'm looking through some of these for
no,
Fletcher, but did you see
there was a few pricing questions. And I guess just email fletcher.martin@citrix.com, and all those pricing and bundling and questions, send it to him directly, because I don't think we can answer those in detail.
Okay, well, I would like to ask a quick question. The Quick Connect, is that included in this bundle too? And can you tell them a little bit about Quick Connect?
Yeah, I'll kind of real quickly jump through what it looks like. So Share Connect is actually the tool, and it's basically we've taken the go to my PC, log me in technology, and we built it for accountants. This is a single place where you can access as many client computers as you want to under one license. So the pricing model is completely different. It's built better for accountants because it stores and archives your passwords. All computers are accessible through a main dashboard here. It's built to run multiple screens or multiple computers at once. So like if you could work on 3 client computers all at the same time, spread them across your screens at your office, you can do that. Remote printing, the ability to track time, that you've been on a session, so you can invoice and bill properly to clients. There's a lot of cool features that we've designed specifically for this industry, and this has got the most, a lot of attention from our development team too. So we're really looking for feedback from clients. What do you guys need out of a tool like this? How can it be better? And we're willing to move really fast on these types of things.
Very good, thank you. And do you have any statistics or any insight as to how much this saves people, like accounting professionals, how much this improves our efficiency, or how much time this saves us and things? Do you have any stats or numbers? Accountants always love numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountants like numbers and audit trails. We typically, it's kind of broken down in a few different categories. So ShareFile, typically you can see an increase of about 67% in efficiency on document exchange. So if you kind of close your eyes and you think about how many times you get a phone call throughout the year asking for an extra copy of a return, or clients, having to schedule appointments just to drop off some paperwork, or how long does it take you to even password protect a file? If you could just attach it to an email and hit send, is that faster for you? About 67% of your time is recovered by having a tool like this, as well as the ability to work more efficiently when you're not in the office, accessing files, sending secure emails from your phone, and things like that. Electronic signatures in general, not just our product, but in general, have proven to decrease the turnaround time by 90%. So think about how fast, if it takes you a week to get a document now, just on average, you're going to cut that time in half. But we've even got automated reminders built into the signature tool. I mean, you're not having to send a second, third, or fourth email, chase the clients down. It's really slick and a huge time saver on the signature side. And then
especially this time of year, that's a big one.
Yep. And then for Share Connect too, a lot of it is actually by being able to recover billable hours. Most clients we talk to say, I have to drive across town. It's only about 10 miles, but traffic, I'm there for 30 minutes. That's an hour of my day there to and from, and I don't have the ability to bill for that time. You could do the same work that you would if you went to go visit your clients, but you don't have to leave your desk. And you can attach that session that you just remoted into to an invoice, and you can get billed faster and more efficiently that way.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can attach the information on that session to an invoice?
Yeah, like if you were my bookkeeper and you hopped on my desktop and worked on my QuickBooks for an hour, you could it'll keep a log of that, and you can say, hey, Fletch, I just reconciled your P&L. This is the time it took me to do it. Here's an invoice for the time served.
Oh,
and it'll prove that you were in there for that long. It even shows you what files and applications you access for like legal and compliance purposes. So accountants can never be accused of misplacing, deleting, or stealing a file. Everything is tracked for you.
Oh, I like that. It keeps a log of everything you access so that it protects us from the liability.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. Now, speaking of security and liability and all that, can you talk a little bit, because I know I can't explain it very well, the level of security that ShareFile has as opposed to some of these others like Google Docs or Box or Dropbox, or how they're different and how secure it is with ShareFile?
Yeah, so every vendor is going to be a little bit different. Let me see if I can find, yep, here we go. So this actually is a CNBC article, and it talks about some of the other file sharing services and their struggle to get off what they call the blacklist. So these services are the most blacklisted applications when it comes to what you should have in your office. The reason why Dropbox is on there is because the way that the terms of service is written. If you put a file on Dropbox, you actually release ownership of that file to Dropbox. So they've had so many data breaches, and they were fighting like 12 class action lawsuits at one time that they changed their terms of service. So if they ever have a file lost, misplaced, or stolen, then you actually legally cannot sue them for anything. So you assume the risk by using that service. And a lot of it's too based upon control. So when you put something on Google Drive, it's tough to be able to control who can be able to access or see that document or file. And then what do they do with your data? Google's main source of revenue is based upon ad services. So when you use something like Google Drive, and every time you might be searching for something or whatever, you have something in a file that's related to bicycles, they're going to sell that information to another vendor, and in their terms of service, when you accept that, you're legally obliging that that's okay.
Wow, I didn't realize. Now, can you show us where you got this article, CNBC? What would we search for on this one? Because I like this.
Yeah, honestly,
somebody else asked.
Most of the time, you can just Google Dropbox security risks, and you'll find a couple hundred searches or articles that are based on this. But CNBC, I like CNBC just because they're a trusted source, and it's not coming from ShareFile. You don't take my word for it. But if you just Google Dropbox security blacklist or Dropbox, security concerns and things like that, you'll probably find everything that you need.
Very good. All right. Well, Fletcher, would you like to put your contact information up there one more time? And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. I thought this was a great session, Fletcher. We had some other people who said, awesome webinar. Thanks, Fletcher. So people just really loved it and are very impressed. So I encourage you all to follow up with Fletcher. You can ask your additional questions. You can get a private demo if you want to. He can go over more details with you. I know some of you talked about trying to change. Somebody said, what if I want to change from log me into this? And so any additional questions that you have, follow up with Fletcher, and him and his team will be able to help you out. And again, take advantage of that discount that we have available for you as well. So remember, this is helping you take your practice to the next level. We talked about the basics that are out there, but really with technology today, we've got to keep up or we're falling behind. And this is a way that we can really keep up and streamline our workflow, make things more efficient for us and our clients, providing better service for them. So thank you, Fletcher and Citrix, for joining us. We really appreciate that. Hector, it was good to be with you on here today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, and don't forget, next week we have Joe Woodard and Mark Wickersham. We're going to talk about practice development and some value pricing and things like that. So make sure you join us next week as well. So
also for next week,
go ahead, Hector.
For next week, we're going to have an app called Aero Workflow that talks about internal workflow management in accounting firms. And that's going to be a demo that we're going to do after we talk about Joe Woodard's suggestions for improving your practice and Mark's suggestions for better pricing. We're going to be talking about the whole concept of managing projects and important things of project management. So we'll also have a demo from Aero Workflow next week.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And thanks again, Fletcher, for taking the time to join us today. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.